Bag, I want the bag. Work my way from a garden to a track. Flip it from a track to a plot full of acres. Do it for the farmers and producers and the makers. What we even here for? Occasionally I ask it. I know it's more than struggling, anticipating the casket. Reap what we sow, I'm trying to fill up my basket. Life's a plantation, I self-law and master. Over the plot I've been granted on this planet. Now it's slanted, cause the chosen been supplanted. But if you overstand it, it was spoken. Fractured, but we ain't broken. Even though some would rather play the role of token, we growing. Black through the essence of our presence. We carry the blood of gods, we carry the mind of peasants. Rich black gardens, future look more like Eden. Multiply seeds like the seed banks in Sweden. Rep my planners on plan according to season. B1 code, switching it up is treason. Black power, family what we eat. Either we get fed or we feed. B1AG.
What's going on? What is growing on? What is growing on? Welcome to B1AG. I'm John Henry Harris. We also have Farmer Brown EMC. Here at B1AG, we focus on Black agriculture as it pertains to Black agriculture production, education, health, food, nutrition, marketing, and economics, all for the Black family and for the Black community. Welcome back to another episode, and today we're going to talk about the United Nations. Now, the United Nations recently reported that over 90% of the global subsidies that are given to the farmers every year, which totals at about $540 billion, is now being seen as harmful to the planet. Now, when they say that this agricultural support is harmful to the planet, they say that it is damaging people's health, fuels the climate crisis, destroys nature, and also they add it drives inequality by excluding smallholder farms, focusing on that many of those are women. Now, they're not saying that the food is necessarily harmful, but the biggest source of this harm is coming from greenhouse emissions, such as, beef and milk, who receive the biggest subsidies, but they're also, with the cows and the methane, they are one of the biggest contributors to these greenhouse gases. So we're going to talk about this phenomenon, which is, it may seem counterintuitive, but the UN is actually saying that farming is bad for the planet. But there's a reason, and we're here at B1AG, we're going to find out, we're going to dig down to the solutions and get clarity on exactly what they're saying. So today's topic, B1AG, the UN reports that big farms are harming the planet. And we want to know if Black farmers can benefit from this. Farmer Brian EMC, what do you got to say about this, bro?
First, I just like to say peace to the B1 family. Hope everybody's doing well. I think this can be, I'm still learning, this can be a great thing. At the core of this, it makes all the sense in the world. A lot of the subsidies, to summarize what he said, a lot of the subsidies for farmers, and this is internationally, has gone to the larger farm operations. These are your factory farms. These are your CAFOs, your confined animal feeding operations. On one end, it's justifiable. We have a planet of 7 billion people, 7.6 billion people that eat. We know that, to get to the next day, to survive, you have to eat. We also know the average American, and this is just in America, the average American comes across 6,000 to 10,000 advertisements in a day. What does that have to do with farming? And so a lot of our diets, if we're going to be honest, has to do with, triggering, working on our psychology. Hey, I need you to eat this product. Hey, doesn't this steak look tasty? Don't these fries look tasty? And we're constantly being reminded that we're lacking something and that we need to consume something. So saying that to say a lot of the farming industry, as we understand it in the West, I can't speak for anywhere else, is based on consumerism. And that consumerism is driven by capitalism. So this is why you have these large farms. Personally, the agriculturalist and me, the immediate solution to what they're talking about, these large farms, is obviously smaller farms. This concept of these large farms, technically, when you think about the age of humanity, the age of human civilization, is relatively a small period of time. But in this small period of time, since these large factory farms existed, this is when we get a lot of the health problems that we have, which come from the preservatives. Where do the preservatives come from? It comes from preserving food to ship it from long distances from one place to another. Many of us do have excessive dietary desires. We're not here to shame anybody, more so than just contextualizing why modern agriculture is the way it is. You can't say it's good, you can't say it's bad. You're talking about millions of people have jobs around the world within the food system. This is one of the things that B1AG we like to talk about, is just, hey, now how do we reinsert ourselves? You know, we're the sustainable ones that's learned how to work with the least to get the most. And so just that gene alone, since we're into gene therapies, how can we genetically mold ourselves back into this agricultural field internationally? And is this opportunity?
And that is exactly how the United Nations, they see that instead of giving so much money to these big mega farms, that they should redistribute these funds to smaller farms. It's kind of a tricky situation because, like I said, we all have to eat, and our demand for food has been so high that these farms, you know, they came out of necessity just to make sure that there is enough supply for the demand for food. But in doing that, you know, there are certain agricultural principles that have been neglected, negated, or just thrown out of the window to try to meet this demand, which is also fueled by money and profits. Like, for instance, if you look at ancient agriculture, there's a like rotating your crops, you know, and fallowing. You know, farmers usually did a 2-field rotation, meaning that they would divide their field into 2 halves. One half would be planted with crops, the other would lie dormant or fallow. And then the following year, farmers would plant crops on the fallow land while letting the other half rest. You know, this earth that was given to us is a great thing, but it's like any other tool or any other resource. You can overuse it. You can overuse it. And to protect, you know, just the fertility of the earth, it does need time to rest. Now, if we go back to the Dust Bowl, you know, which caused the Great Depression, and that was because the land had become so overused, it turned to dust, and it caused like the Great Depression. It was like one of the worst economic tragedies in this country's, in the history of this country. And you know, we're also at a threat of doing that because of these mega farms. We're not allowing the land to rest. We're not making sure that the earth remains fertile. You know, but again, it goes back to trying to fuel the demand of the people for food, you know, whether it's for literal sustenance or just for, you know, because food and eating has gone from a function of survival to an activity of leisure and of pleasure.
Think about this, bro, and this is pre-COVID. And so on planet Earth right now, 7.6 billion people, 800 million. This is pre-COVID. And so obviously we know that number increased. 800 million human beings around this planet, there's no food, complete starvation, dying of lack of nutrition. And so once again, we're surrounded by a planet that has land that can produce food. And so once again, when we think about this UN initiative, okay, what are the sciences behind this? We're living in a world now where there is a such thing as a terminator seed. Simple, stupid, a terminator seed is basically, okay, I'll give you a yield in year 1 that you plant me, but year 2, you're going to have to go back to whoever you bought it from and get some more seeds. That is capital driven, right? The average small farmer I know would never intentionally put something in the ground that's only going to yield something 1 year. The goal is you want to be sustainable. You want your operation to be sustainable. Each year, you're able to take the seeds that you don't eat, store them somewhere, and replant them in the ground. But we're in a place where this factory farming that we've become accustomed to, it's all about competition. It's not about necessarily feeding the people. Is this to disparage the farmers, all around the world who really do go out in the field and just, want to have the best crop for whoever they're serving? Absolutely not. But all it takes is a handful of bad eggs to destroy the whole pie. So saying that to say, I don't know if the family understands. So farmers, and this is worldwide, are the second largest group of people that commit suicide. We've brought that up before. The second largest group of people that commit suicide. Another interesting statistic, and this is going to be kind of complex trying to break down, is that the majority of the farmers around the world are typically women. It's only in the West that women are a small minority of farmers. So once again, when we have these conversations, when we're talking about it internationally, personally, I don't want to step out of, my framework of understanding, but, for the sake of trying to contextualize this conversation, there's a lot more women around the world that farm. And I'm making that point to say, so the UN is putting this out there. Hey, we need to redirect all of this funds that's been going into agriculture and food security. Instead of giving it to these big corporations, these big factory farms, we need to make it rain on the smaller farms. I know plenty specialists and PhDs that could have told you this decades ago. And so we do have to question, okay, why now? At the core of the UN 2030 agenda, the decade is the need for action to tackle growing poverty, empower women and girls, and address the climate emergency. I'll repeat that, and this is from UN.org. At the core of the 2020 to 2030 decade is the need for action to tackle growing poverty, empower women and girls, and address the climate emergency. That is the mission statement. This is the goal. Not to digress from this topic, we think about just this year, the Farmers of Color and Socially Disadvantaged Act that was supposed to empower farmers who have been black farmers or farmers of color who have been disenfranchised with the USDA and their partnering lending services. That not a dime has gone to any of these farmers yet, and it was just for the purpose of debt relief. And so when we're thinking about the UN, okay, we think the United States is big brother. And so the UN is like big daddy. And so my question, just putting it out there, I don't know, are we going to have this same similar effect nationally? As melanated people, we understand that the majority of the world is melanated, right? It's only in North America we have these numbers that, we see ourselves as a minority. But when we're looking at just numbers, the so-called skin pigmentation, the majority of the world is melanated. And so justifiably so, when you look at this UN objective, they're not looking at racial equity. I've talked to a couple brothers, just over the years, we have these talks about national. Oh, well, you got to be a nation to be recognized at the UN. And so there is a contingency of us to see the UN as, okay, since we can't get justice here in the homeland, maybe we can go to this international council and get some help. And so the optimist in me says, okay, maybe the UN, somebody's looking from the ground level of what's going on in North America. Somebody's looking at the injustice that's happening. But when I hear the word small farms, and I'm a small farm agent, that's my profession, I know there's a lot that goes into small farms. Small farm is anything under 300 acres, depending on what agency you work for. Women can classify as minority farmers. White women can be minority farmers. Every ethnicity other than white males can classify as minority farmers. We know it is practice in some areas that white men who are codified with their women understand, okay, hey, baby, we need to get some money. So I'm going to just turn this farm, I'm going to turn this over to you. All this information, the businesses in your name. Now you're able to go get some loans. Now you're able to go get some grants as a minority. So saying that to say, this could be a great opportunity, but it is also, I guess, an action item, giving a heads up to the melanated women. If we got any sisters watching right now, this may be a windfall, and this may be, a little bit of help for the black farms that we know are struggling here in North America. But if we see that the international body that's putting this in motion, their goal is to tackle poverty, empower women and girls, and address climate emergency. We can cut out wasting a lot of time talking about black more so than, okay, let's get codified. What's understood don't need to be explained. Before, as an embryo, before I developed the penis, I was a melanated cell that replicated, turned into a male. Saying that to say that's this whole B1 concept. And so when we're having this conversation about what's going on with the UN and their effort to help small farms, are we able as a community, not only on a communal level, find the value in getting back to the land, learning how to work the land, but when it comes to the actual tangibles of, okay, this international governing body is making it rain, are we cohesive with the sisters to realize, like, hey, when this money comes, it's more than likely going to come to the women, which isn't good, it isn't bad, it's just, it is what it is. As men, are we able to, do our part of it? So saying that to say, we're not here to say we have all of the answers, but these are definitely some things to think about. They actually have their first meeting September 23rd. And so we got this article. This is from the UN, just putting out what their goal is, what their objective is. And so once again, just kind of trying to think ahead. Can we come together and weave this communal basket to catch some of these international apples that may be falling?
And just to reiterate, again, they are going to meet on September 23rd, and they're tackling the United Nations is addressing the international food system. And it said repurposing of subsidies to beneficial activities could be a game changer to help end poverty, eradicate hunger, improve nutrition, reduce global heating, and restore nature. Good uses of public money could include supporting healthy food, such as vegetables and fruit, improving the environment, and supporting small farmers. Now, we all know when it comes to small farmers, black farms, we're a large part of that number. And that black farmers have also been locked out of a lot of subsidies and grants and other operations that have helped other farmers improve their operations. Now, numerous analyses in recent years have concluded that the global food system is broken, with more than 800 million people experiencing chronic hunger in 2020 and 3 billion unable to afford a healthy diet, while 2 billion people are obese or overweight, and a third of food is wasted. The total damage caused has been estimated at $12 trillion a year, more than the value of the food produced. So they're basically saying, look, we invest 500 and we've been investing $540 billion a year in subsidies worldwide given to these big farmers. And this money has not been well spent. We need to spend this money better. We need to give some of this money to smaller farmers because we need to ramp up our production of good food and also help just give the earth a rest. Those big farm operations, they need to slow down just to give that land some rest. And we need to start working these smaller farmers more because, the food production, it's being challenged, especially here in America. We just look in America out on the West Coast because of the droughts and the wildfires. Those farmers are not able to produce, but the need for that food that they have been normally producing is not going anywhere. So we need to ramp up the production of the small farmers. And that's what B1AG has been preaching and standing on our soapbox, to get everyone to rally behind is our black farmers and our smaller farmers, because they need to be helped and stimulated, because we're going to be the ones that benefit from that food production, and we're going to need that.
Think about this. So the average farmer in North America is 65 years old. If we're going to think about this, being very concise. So if the average farmer today in 2021 is 65 years old, especially in the melanated community, this is a UN 2030 goal. Meaning, so we still got 9 years to achieve. And there's that 9. You remember the elder John Boyd was talking about we can't afford another 9 years kicking the can down the road. I know generally speaking, so if you're wanting to get any sort of loan, grant, a lot of these funding opportunities, you do have to be able to show that you have some sort of experience, within the field. I can't just come in, okay, I don't got an ag degree, I don't have any farm experience, haven't been working with any sort of food distribution network, but hey, make it rain on me. Like, that's not going to be a successful venture. Versus, okay, as we're having this conversation in 2021, we see by 2030, the goal is what can we do in the next 3 to 4 years, right? We have a certain administration in the White House right now, irregardless of where we stand politically, we see that the world is rapidly changing. And so, literally knocking out multiple birds with one stone. And while we're trying to figure out where all of this craziness is going, it makes all the sense in the world to let me learn, whether I'm going to do it through a university. I got these high schoolers that's looking for a field to get into. Maybe I point them in the direction of a land grant. Make some use of these HBCUs. It's more to HBCUs and bands and parties, right? Okay, I got these elementary school kids, and we're looking at 2030. We're in lockstep, Operation Lockstep with this 2030 agenda. And so as these kids that's in elementary school, let me look into the 4-H. Let me look into the grassroots urban ag operations. Let me look into, if you have any sort of agri-science schools around the regions where you're at. Look into some of this online content. We got to be able to have tangible experience that you've been within this field. Let me see if I can get a part-time job helping one of these small farms within maybe 50, 60, 80 miles of where I live at. Maybe I can, maybe get some hours planting and harvesting. Maybe I can get some hours helping them do fencing, building structures. But saying that to say, when the UN sends us down, we can't, come at it like, oh, I need some help. We have to have a codified plan in place. The same way the brothers say, okay, if we're going to get reparations, we got to be able to go and say, hey, we're a nation. I remember, what was it, Grandmaster Jay was talking about, okay, ain't nobody going to recognize you. What are you? Are you black? Are you African-American? Are you unique? And so, the years, the decades, we still going back and forth with that. The conversation I'm having right now is food security. We know whatever we call ourselves, we have to eat. And so are we creating the proverbial baskets? Are we creating the not just the ideas, but actually empowering, incentivizing the younger people to go into high school with a better scientific understanding, the high school age people that understand either I'm going to go to a college or I'm going to get a trade within this field. Those of us that are already out of school, as they say a lot of people ain't going back to work as it used to be. And so, as we're all thinking about, okay, and I say we are all thinking about different ways that our careers are going to go, what niches can be filled within this food system to where by 2028, we're able to sit down, we're able to gather the elders, we're able to bring those children who have been going through this matriculation, this process of learning more about agriculture. This is when some of those high schoolers in 2021 that went into an ag program in 2022, they should be graduating with a bachelor's degree, if not more. You know what I'm saying? And so are we creating the businesses to onboard them into? Is really thinking this out long term. One of the things that will make a small farm successful, I have to have somebody I'm selling my product to, and then also diversifying my operation. I can't just be completely dependent upon, okay, I have X amount of people that's going to buy my watermelons. And so this is when we start getting into tech. We see that we're going into cyber world. And so are we making sure that, however crypto and all of that turns, we have a codified plan around what these food transactions look like. Marketing is a big piece. Not to digress, because this has every bit to do with what I'm talking about. We think about what's going on with Nicki Minaj right now. And I don't think I know a single Nicki Minaj song. And so, but saying that to say, hey, we're going to call you to the White House. We need to sit you down because we realize you have influence. because of whatever you do on this microphone, on TV, whatever, you woman, be the Nikki Hive, shout out to Brother Red Pill and Blue Pill, they made the connection like these women are literally like beehives. Whatever they set in motion, they have a hive of individuals that's going to come follow. And so as we're thinking about these next 9 years leading up to 2030, can we incentivize a handful of our influencers? Okay, there's some questions we can ask, but let's put some action items in motion. So can we incentivize as a community some of our influencers to say, hey, make this concept of selling Black grown food to Black communities and other communities around the world cool. Make it a talking point. Make it a something that, just like what did they say, the prosthetics, the fake butts and all of that became a thing, right? So can we make making real food a thing? There's a lot of online content creators that do some great content, but that's asked the same questions that Nicki Minaj did. But thinking one tweet, I don't know, it might not have taken her more than 5 minutes to put that tweet. I imagine there was some thought and strategy behind it, but she was able to affect the dynamics of millions of human beings on this planet. We need this type of activity when we're thinking about reaching this 2030 goal. Because I can tell the melanated family, the white farmers are taking a hit in North America as well. And this bill wasn't just for white farmers. We're talking about internationally. And so the sake of this conversation is, okay, since we have all of these problems internally, what is a codified international effort that as a melanated community we can come together? When I think about the brothers and sisters I've met from Africa, and so when I was doing my undergrad, I met a peace to Saint, peace to Kelly. I met some good people from Africa. And so I'm understanding, okay, this is a great opportunity when we think about these shipping dynamics, when we think about distribution, storage, getting new crops. There's things that grow in Africa very well that are very healthy, that people would eat over here if there was a formidable distribution network. And so we can't sit and wait for somebody else to master that network. Because guarantee what did Booker T. Watley say, avoid the middleman like a plague. And so if we keep having to bring middlemen into our Black business, into our transactions, guess who's always going to get the short end of the stick? And so we have a 9-year window to the UN is considering making this rain. We got this goal of addressing poverty. Well, I know part of poverty is a cure for that is economics. You need to get some money. And so once again, we know shipping something that people consume to the consumer, these are jobs. And so we can't necessarily go into this looking for, okay, now where are the jobs I can fall into versus what are the jobs we're able to create. And the UN 2030 goal, all that is just pretty much a time stamp. It's a mile marker of we want to reach this goal by 2030. Okay, we know right now in North America, we have 1.4% of the farmers are Black. We'll call them Black. About 40,000, 44,000. By 2030, we want to have 250,000 young melanated people going into some sort of agricultural or food system field of study or actual career. Everybody doesn't have to be out in the field. Once again, we want to take a holistic approach. The UN has a plan. And so the whole case I'm making is, do we have a plan? Are we having those preliminary conversations? Because these little social domestic issues here, man, it'll keep us going at each other's neck forever. But can we feed the world? Because we've done it before, but our ancestors did it for free. And so now in 2021, when the world is woke, when all eyes are on the U.S. right now, as far as all the other things going on, can we fight this war on hunger, this war on poverty, this war on white supremacy? Can we fight this war by being the most productive people we can be? Food is the most immediate thing that we all have in common, that if we learn how to produce it and get it to the people to eat it, we become the Rockefeller and Carnegies and Vanderbilts of the future.
Food is that important. And the UN has already stated their plan. They want to redistribute a lot of this money, $540 billion. They want to redistribute a large portion of this money to smaller farmers. We need to get ourselves in position to win. We need to get ourselves in position to be able to eat. We need to put ourselves in position to make sure that we are food secure. It's been a great topic. And again, as a side note, but it also is a main point, the UN has also stated that, they're looking towards making sure that women get more placed in a more position of power when it comes to the food systems as well. We need a lot of our women to step up and make this a priority. We need our Black women to step up and carry some of this load when it comes to making sure that we are food secure. Because y'all are the ones that they will give the money to. We see that our Black farmers currently and historically have been left out of, the financial gains and plans when it comes to funding their operations or getting money or getting grants or getting loans. But they're making it rain on the women now. That Black girl magic. We need help. And it's gotta be a strategic effort.
So just this morning, I was out on the farm with the lady and her brother, and the dynamics was brother's pretty much backbone. I don't know none of that paperwork. What do I need to do with my tractor? They were getting a loan for some equipment, some other things around the farm, but it was the sister. They're older. It was the sister who was conducting the business, had everything written down, itemized. Because what I can tell you when you're going for these loans, and this is on a state level, and so you can only imagine on a national, then international, you have to be very concise with what you're asking for. Like John Boyd, the elder John Boyd keeps saying, all it takes is one line being wrong and they'll just throw your application away. And this is why I say it's very important. Everybody doesn't have to be mathematicians, but we need some. Everybody doesn't have to be green thumbs, but we need some. Everybody don't have to be straight up like, no, you ain't about to get one over on me, but you need that muscle. Every component that makes any business strong, we need within agriculture. Legal. We need people, we need networks around the country, not just one central location, but around the country where these farmers, when they're putting these applications in for these either grants or loans, I would say go for grants personally. I think we as a community have to revisit community crowdfunding and crowdsourcing to really give our farmers, especially small farmers, a leverage in this 2030 plan. Because like I said, from extension level, and I also encourage the sisters, brothers too, but particularly the sisters, man, call your extension office up where you're at. Hey, do y'all have any information? I've heard these crazy people talking about, minority grants for small farmers. And I was thinking about getting me a farm ID with my 2 acres that I got in the backyard. My grandparents, they got 10 acres that I'm splitting with me and my sisters and my siblings. And I was just wanting to get some information, see if you could come out and do a soil sample, see if you can let me know what can be grown out here, what are the profitable crops right now. And your extension agent in kind, because they need numbers too, will come and tell you that. So saying that to say is thinking about these things before it becomes available, because we don't want to get to 2030 and be having this same conversation like, man, they just made it rain 540 billion or whatever this turns into dollars, and it was only a single-digit percentile of us that were able to reap from it. Like I said, this thing that the UN doing, it ain't a racial. It's not racial, and so we can cut those divisions out. They're not going to acknowledge us as Hebrew, Aboriginal, Black, Negro. They're not going to acknowledge that. Does this entity that I see is codified? If I ask somebody on New York, it's going to be the same code in Los Angeles. If I ask them in Florida, it's the same code in Washington State, same code in Kentucky, same code in Georgia. Across the country, it's understood that this is what we're doing. This is the way that we're building this network. No, we ain't being racist. We encourage you to shop with us. Matter of fact, we've built this system, this network so strong. Oh, we can compete with the best of them around the world. Matter of fact, you can pay us for this model. We create consultancy jobs for some of our kids going into these fields by simply planting that seed early that, hey, this is a thing to think about. We see what we did with a basketball. We see what we did with a football. At a time, those didn't exist, and now they've become quadrillion-dollar industries. There was a time that rap music didn't exist, and this is just, what is it, like the 40-something anniversary of hip-hop? In just 40 years, it literally drives marketing. The White House, the 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue got to call a rapper up. to be like, hey, hold up, you're affecting the flock. Judas go. No, you're affecting the flock. So I'm saying that to say, with this bright, optimistic view that I have, we have a huge opportunity, family. Whether the UN follows through on it or not, we can't go wrong by building a formidable food system.
B1AG family, I hope you paid attention. We really need to put our, not just our prints in the mud, the seeds in the ground. We need to break out our shovels and really rebuild this food system to make sure that we all have an equitable seat at the dinner table. Please share, share, share this content. You know, we need to make this conversation bigger. We need to make sure that more of us participate in this conversation. We need to make sure that we all become more educated in agriculture, because agriculture drives everything we do on this planet. Every single thing we do on this planet is driven by agriculture, because at the end of the day, everything comes from the earth. Everything comes from the earth. And if we don't eat, nothing else is relevant, because we'll perish. So let's make this conversation bigger. Make sure that you subscribe. Please subscribe to the B1AG Daily Bread podcast on YouTube. Subscribe. You can also check out B1AG at the Black Boss channel. The Black Boss channel on YouTube as well as Facebook. You know, we're running through Dr. Boyce Watkins News Network. Let's make sure that we subscribe to the Black Boss channel as well as B1AG Daily Bread podcast on YouTube. Let's get this algorithm moving. Let's make this conversation bigger. And also let's make sure that our plates stay full with the best produce and veggies that can be produced on this planet. You know, we deserve to eat well. We're meant to eat well. We have the means to eat well. I hope y'all got a lot from this conversation today. Also, make sure that you go to healthyblackfood.com. It's a great program going through the Black Business School. Learn how to grow your own food. We'll take you step by step from seed to harvest, how to grow your own food. We do it in a way that's very entertaining. We do it in a way that is very educational, and we do it in a way that that is profitable for your whole family. You know, this is how you extend your legacy. You know, your ability to be able to feed the children, feed yourself, and feed future generations. So we need to learn how to manipulate this ground to grow this food. So it is a survival skill. So Farmer Brown, the UN, they're going to make it rain. They're going to make it rain. You know, hopefully we'll have our rain barrels built and ready to collect some of this water, you know. But at the end of the day, if you really want to know something, what do the people need to do, Farmer Brown?
This is a team sport. If you really want to know something, be one. Let's learn how to grow something.
Have a wonderful day. Be prosperous. Everyone be prosperous. Spread love. Get some sun on your face. Let's have a wonderful weekend. And let's keep going. Let's keep growing. Let's keep going, and let's keep growing. Till we see you again. It's B1AG. I'm John Henry Harris. We also have Farmer Brown MC. Peace out.